Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. Guys, the day is finally here. Madfinger has released raw gameplay of Gray Zone Warfare for everyone to see. I want to go ahead and break everything down and kind of give you my thoughts as to what I'm looking at here. Now, I do have another video coming out later this week, but I am under embargo, so I can't really talk about what that video is going to be, but it is related to Gray Zone Warfare in many ways. Let's not dick around with this anymore. Let's go ahead and jump right into my thoughts and the breakdown of Gray Zone Warfare's new gameplay video, courtesy of IG. We're gonna go ahead and jump right out of the gate and say that the environment in Gray Zone Warfare is one of the best ones I've seen so far. You guys can obviously tell by the footage on screen that they are using Unreal Engine 5 to its maximum capability. This game looks fucking beautiful. There's really no other way to say it. It just looks really goddamn great. The area that these guys start in is your base camp, and they're on their way right now to a landing zone. The reality of how big this map is really does set in once you're high up into the air just riding across the landscape. I should also mention, because some people may have forgotten, this game has no loading screens whatsoever. So you're going to be able to enjoy helicopter rides from base camp to LZ and vice versa. Everything looks so good. It looks so detailed, and it's just so bright and rich in color. Once these guys land on the ground, they're on their way to their first objective. Now note, this is a mission that will be available day one of early access launch. Now throughout this video, you are going to see these guys shoot at AI enemies that are in the environment. And from what I'm noticing right off the rip is that the AI looks pretty damn spongy, but I went ahead and talked to Rick and Merrick, and they both said that in the updated versions of this build, there is no sponginess to the AI. They take 2 or 3 bullets and they drop like flies. I've stated this before whenever I covered the ballistics video. If you haven't seen that, top right corner, go click that shit and watch it. It's really all gonna depend on the ammo type that you use and where you hit the enemy at. So I mean, regardless of what ammo type you're using, if you hit one of these AI in the damn head, he's gonna drop instantly. However, if you're using something like a 9mm and they have a little bit of body armor on them, they're not gonna drop that easy. You're gonna have to pump a few bullets into them, but they will eventually stop breathing. But again, focusing on different parts of this gameplay video, you see that the environment, no matter what position you are in, just looks absolutely beautiful. The buildings have a lot of gritty texture to them. You can just kind of see yourself being in this environment and feeling immersed every single time you look at it. Now, during a particular section of this gameplay video, you're going to see one of the players get hit by an AI. And even though we don't get to see the full animation of the healing process, you get to see how crazy shit gets once you get hit with a round. You'll also notice that in the top left-hand corner, you see what position you're in and if you're bleeding and have any sort of superficial wounds. This is also very important because this healing process can dictate whether or not you can just kind of let it be, or if you're gonna bleed out pretty damn fast. And just like any type of game like this, you always want to make sure that you have surge kits, bandages, gauze, really just about anything that would save your life, you want to keep an excess amount of. But I also noticed that the AI seem to be very attentive. These guys will absolutely lock onto whatever position you are last in, or if you're in that position, they are locking onto you and they are beaming your ass. They're not like the scavs in Escape from Tarkov where you can kind of fuck around with them and they're just kind of there and not really scary. These guys are damn near terrifying. Now, just like any AI, it's not going to be perfect right out of the box. There's going to be a fair amount of tweaking done to the AI from what Rick has told me, but so far from what I'm looking at right now, the AI looks pretty damn solid. A lot better than most games have tried to do before. Now, this house where they're at is where the first objective is going to be. Right now, they're just kind of setting up a little bit of a defense, kind of locking down this area, making sure that nobody comes in, and then they're going to make their way inside of the house. I don't know if you guys noticed this, but it looks like they actually cut the power off to this little house and have made their way inside, just absolutely maxing out that UE5 lighting. The shit just looks so good. Now, there's one part of this I really want to highlight and just show a lot of appreciation and love for. At the 12-minute mark, you see one of the players engaging with an AI combatant, and if you pay really close attention to the foliage surrounding him, you can easily see that whenever he fires the gun, the gases that come out of the barrel are actually making the foliage move. We've heard them say stuff about this in the past, but seeing it actually utilized in real time, that shit just, it blows my mind. Now, the people who cannot stand this project or Gray Zone Warfare are gonna say, well, it's really not that complicated. You can easily do that just doing blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's cool to me. It's cool to everyone who has seen this, and it's a level of detail that you don't really see in games like this. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that even though this game in its concept is not really original, as people would like to say, it's not original, whatever the fuck that means, right? We don't really know what that means nowadays. But being able to see the amount of detail they've poured into this game since it's been announced is just, it's incredible. I don't know what to say. It's absolutely incredible to see. And after one of the players engages with the enemy AI combatant, you get to see how this little tiny area of this world is set up. It looks like a little tiny area that you would see in a Southeast Asian village. No shit, the game is based in Southeast Asia, but still, the environment plays a huge part into the immersion of the story and the lore and just pretty much why you're there to begin with. And there's something I haven't really talked about as far as animations are concerned with Gray Zone Warfare. I think they look really good. There have been some discussions in the Gray Zone Warfare Discord, link in the pinned comment if you guys want to join the Discord and engage in conversations with the developers. I've had a few people say that the animations look a little bit stiff, and in some regards I agree, but in most I don't really see it. I think the recoil patterns on the weapons look really damn good. They don't look bouncy or stupid as hell, kind of like what you would see in a game like Escape from Tarkov. And of course I'm talking before they went in and reworked the recoil system for the game. But in the bottom right hand corner in tiny little letters it says this is a pre-alpha, it will only get better. And I'm here to tell you guys, it really will. The amount of improvements that these guys have done in between when I first got introduced as a VIP creator up until now has just been monumental. These guys have been putting in absolute work to make sure that nobody has a reason to say anything bad about this game. And like I told somebody before in my comment section, they are gonna make you work for whatever you want to complain about. Progressing a little bit more into the gameplay here, you see this massive open strip of looks like stores and buildings with a few cars that are empty surrounding the streets. And what these guys are doing is making their way from one side of the street to the other, but there's enemies down at the very end of the road, so they have to make sure that they move quietly and silently. And like I've said before, and I'll keep repeating it until I'm blue in the face, everything looks like it has a damn purpose. Just a couple seconds later, dude gets run down on and absolutely shit mixed by one of the players from MFG. Recoil patterns look super solid. Dude fell like a bag of damn rocks. Now just a couple seconds later, you see the same exact player get hit in the head by a stray bullet. Like last time when I told you to look up into the top left hand corner, you've seen some icons that look like he was bleeding and one that you could tell was just like a superficial bullet wound. This one just shows that there's a superficial wound, which meaning that the bullet didn't go into his helmet, it just simply bounced off of his helmet. Now that shit right there in the common world would probably end up killing somebody. But in this game, as long as the bullet doesn't cause you to bleed, you're just gonna be extremely concussed and dizzy, which I mean, that is completely capable in a real life scenario. Without getting on too much of a tangent here, if you look at the Lion of Fallujah, he got hit in the head with a round and it bounced off his helmet and it almost killed him, but it didn't. He ended up having a very severe concussion and a traumatic brain injury. So again, this is not outside the realms of reality here. Even though Gray Zone Warfare is considered a Tarkov competitor, after looking at the gameplay, I don't really think there's much competition here because these games are so drastically different in appearance. Hell, I would even say in play style. But I can see the massive appeal that Tarkov players who just got sick of playing the game are going to see with Gray Zone Warfare. Now, in some regard here, this game does a lot of what Tarkov does, but in my opinion, it does it so much better. Like for example, the player controller, even though I can only see it on my screen, it looks so much better than what the hell I've been looking at for the past, I don't know, 10 years from Escape from Tarkov. The weapon recoil system didn't need to get reworked almost 10 years later either, and it seems like the AI are actually not brain dead. So yeah, that right there sells me entirely. There's also something I really appreciate about this game is that it has a built-in compass up at the top of your screen, so you don't really have to wonder where the hell you're going. You just kind of figure out where you're going and you can use that as a way to get back to where you need to go. But a little bit later in this video, they come up on their second objective, they grab it, they go to leave, and they're about to call in the helicopter to go back to the home base and turn in everything for the quest. And just like that, I've somehow managed to condense 23 minutes worth of gameplay down to just a couple minutes. I want to talk about how I'm feeling about this gameplay trailer, some things that I would love to see added, some pros and some cons that I've seen, and just kind of wrap it all up nice and tight for you guys. So like I said in the beginning of the video, it is about damn time we got some raw gameplay coming from the guys over at GZW. Now, since I'm a VIP in their Discord, they have shown the VIPs before some behind the scenes stuff with this game, and we actually did get to see raw gameplay in that Discord, but this was about a month or so before this video even came out. So some of the stuff that I seen in this gameplay video is stuff that I've seen for the first time, while some stuff I'd kind of already been exposed to. So full discretion there. This trailer is going to do a lot more good than what a lot of people think it's going to. Now, of course, you're always going to have your detesters saying that this game just isn't going to be real. It's going to keep getting delayed and delayed and delayed until it falls into obscurity. I know that this game is real. I've seen it with my own two eyes through a Discord call. If you guys were to be a fly on the wall of the conversations I've had with the guys over at Madfinger about that bullshit, you would completely understand why I'm saying the things that I'm saying now. But of course, you're going to have people go through this entire 23-minute long gameplay video, something that these guys have been asking for non-stop, and those same exact people are going to find the smallest shit to complain about and say that the game is terrible, or even say that the game is fake, like I've already seen people saying on the goddamn internet. And if you're one of these people, genuinely listen to what I have to say next. Sell your goddamn PC and just stop playing video games, you miserable bitch. It is literally far fuck you until my bones decay in the goddamn ground. I am tired of the victim mentality that the day before has put on you sour body bitches. Move on with your life. But this is going to show a lot of people that, yeah, there are games out here that are wildly ambitious, and Gray Zone Warfare is no exception to that. This game is ambitious as hell for what it's trying to do. But I feel like it's the most realistic example that has been given to us so far that ambition doesn't necessarily mean that it's a joke. So there's a lot of stuff in this video that I loved watching. Some stuff that I had already seen, of course, but still, it is absolutely phenomenal. And since we're already on such a high note, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about some pros that I've seen with the gameplay. First things first, recoil doesn't look like shit. That's a huge one for me. The skybox in the environment is some of the absolute best that we've seen come out of Unreal Engine 5. I'm sorry, it is absolutely one of the greatest skyboxes and environments that I have seen. The foliage is super crisp and clean. The buildings have a little bit of grit to them and look like they belong in the goddamn environment. And if you want to talk about immersion, you would be hard pressed to find a game that does it any better than Gray Zone Warfare. Are there games out there that could be doing it better? Absolutely. But if you can name one off of the top of your head right now, I will PayPal you $10. The HUD that you have on screen is super simple, super clean, and very minimal. Things that I think are very important if you're gonna have something like that in a hardcore FPS shooter. Now, there are some people out there who are gonna be very disgruntled and say that the shit does not belong in a game like this. So that's why they're having a strictly hardcore mode coming into the game. That is something that they confirmed a couple months back, where it will strip the HUD and all of the indicators basically out of the game, leaving you with a fresh vanilla slate to kind of just explore off of. And that's really gonna be for the veteran players of this game who know everything off of the top of their head, essentially. Kind of like the Kappas in Escape from Tarkov. They can just tell you everything about the goddamn game and not have to look at a spreadsheet. Weapon models look insanely nice. Player models look very goddamn good. The dirt that gets whipped up whenever the helicopter lands is a nice little touch of realism that, again, not a lot of games can do effectively. But if we're gonna be realistic in our excitement here, we have to talk about some cons that I noticed throughout the entirety of the video. And I know one of these has already been addressed, but again, I have to mention it. The AI looks entirely way too spongy. Now, Rick has told me before, because I brought up this issue with him in the past, that the AI look a little bit too spongy for my liking. He told me that the AI are extremely susceptible depending on the type of ammunition that you're using, which again, like I said, feeds a little bit of legitimacy into their ballistics testing. Another thing I noticed, which again is probably going to end up getting fixed before the game even comes out into early access, is that some of the animations looked either really stiff or really bouncy, mainly just really stiff in a few places. Now, another con, I don't really see it as like an overwhelmingly negative thing, but again, it's a con to some people, is that the guns don't really have a lot of auditory thump to them. They sound nice, but they could sound so much better. For example, adding a little bit of low end and bringing up those mids a little bit will really make the gun crack and pop and boom the way that you want it to. But overall, some sound staging issues aside, I am very, very, very impressed with what I've seen in this gameplay trailer. You know, pros aside, cons aside, I think we are looking at something here that a lot of people are going to hop on board for and really enjoy. Because to be honest, what other game out there is going to give us an experience like this? People would say, oh, it's obviously going to be Tarkov. Well, not really. I don't think Tarkov is capable of giving people an experience quite like this one. And by the time this game fully releases out of early access, which again could be anywhere between 5, 6, or 7 years from now, it is going to be almost a completely different game, but for the better. If we're already seeing these guys in a pre-alpha state doing some very impressive shit, I can only imagine what it's going to be like 4 or 5 years down the road from now. But yeah, that's my 2 cents about everything you guys seen today in the Gray Zone Warfare raw gameplay courtesy of IGN. Let me know down in the comments what you guys are thinking. Are you guys thinking that this is a bop? You think it's gonna flop on launch? Do you think it's fake? Let me know down below. And while you're at it, go ahead and hit that like button, that sub button, and tap that notification bell for more content like this. My name is Redbeard Mortis. Speak loud, speak the truth, and I will see you in the Gray Zone.